Dr. Yolanda Lewis Ragland, and I am so godly excited. I'm very proud to be here and to bring to you this show that I think is extremely important for such a time as this. So, some of you know me, many of you don't, so I'm going to introduce myself. But we're really just going to use today to sort of introduce myself, introduce the show, what our goals are, what our plans are, and just invite you to join us in this journey toward healing. So, mind, body, and stress with Dr. Yolanda is a concept that we came up with just to sort of make some of these connections. I think we make these connections indirectly, but sometimes we don't really talk about what the direct connections are when it comes to how our bodies are affected, how our minds are affected by stress. And so I would like to have these conversations, open these conversations up with you all. Make sure that you write questions, you know, personal experiences, because they're all valid. We have really experienced some grief and some loss in these past few weeks. But let's be honest, it's been more than a few weeks, right? It's been year after year after year. I am 51 years old. I'll be 52 this year. And I remember one of my most traumatic experiences being the Rodney King beating. I was a student at Santa Clara. I was on campus and I was active in the student union. And after that episode, I became really active in our local chapter of the NAACP in San Jose. And the reason I bring it up is because that was a traumatic experience. It's something that I had to figure out how to get through, how to navigate what I was feeling, what I was watching on the news, how it was playing out in the media, how it was playing out in courts. But the public opinion is probably one of the most profound, courts, the court of public opinion. Um, and I remember having to figure out how I felt about it, compartmentalize what I was watching, because this man, this human being, someone who looked like a brother of mine, an uncle of mine, a friend of mine, was being beat senselessly. And I had to figure out how much of it did I think he deserved because he maybe was running for the police, how much I thought the police maybe, their training needed to be different. All of these things were coming up, and this was in 1992. Fast forward, we're in 2022. We're 30 years later, and I'm still personally seeing images that are disturbing, that are traumatizing. So not only are we dealing with those atrocities and trying to figure out and tease through justice and all the things that kind of come with it, but in the last few weeks, we've dealt with some very public deaths, right? Some very public acknowledgments that our mental health is um, really sort of lying in the balance there. That we have to, some of us, many of us, are either reaching out and speaking and saying we need help, but all of us aren't doing that, right? Some of us may want help, and we're not necessarily asking for it out loud, or we may have decided we're beyond help. But I'm here to have this conversation because I don't believe anyone's beyond help. I do believe that we have to begin to start tapping into ourselves, into each other, into our communities. We have been connected to each other much longer than we've been disconnected. Let me say that again. So we've just been doing all of these things, and we have to recognize that there was a time when we were really much more connected to each other. So the reason I came on, the reason I decided to do this show It's because I'm about that connection. So I'm a pediatrician in Washington, D.C. I'm actually a double board certified physician in both pediatrics and bariatrics, which is the medical management of weight loss. And the reason I got into bariatrics is because as a general pediatrician, living and serving in a community that was having difficulties. There's a lot going on in the particular community that I live in. High um, unemployment, high domestic violence, gun violence, with all these things going on around me. And I made the decision to look at what is it that's going on that I could personally do something about. So I'm a pediatrician, a general pediatrician. I'm seeing kids. Most of the time, you see kids and they're happy and healthy. And every once in a while, you might have an ear infection here or there, a broken bone. But I was seeing much more than that. I was seeing depression. I was seeing lots of mental health issues, ADHD. I was seeing obesity. But when I got to the obesity part, that was the part that was concerning to me because I recognized that obesity was really sort of tied to a lot of things that were out of their control. The food sources around them, the lack of opportunities to exercise, the stress of just not having control of circumstances around them. A lot of those things were contributing to the obesity. And then as I began talking to parents, I realized the parents felt out of control as well. They felt like they needed some tools and some understanding. So that's what got me started in pursuing that second board certification. So I am not only a pediatrician and a bariatrician, but I am a mother of three wonderful children. My oldest daughter is 22. She's a grad student in New Orleans. I try not to do too much identifying. I don't want anybody to be too embarrassed by me. If I say anything one day, I want my daughter to go, Mom, they know exactly who I am. So she's in the New Orleans area. I won't put her out there yet. And she's finishing up grad school soon. She's interested in health, and more specifically, she's interested in women's health. And so I think that I'd like to think that her mom had something to do with that. I have a 20-year-old son. He's in California working on his music. He's taking his gap year. And again, he's someone who was affected by this pandemic, who came out of high school and decided, you know what, I need a moment because it was pretty traumatizing the way they sort of finished up. Ironically, he was born in 2001 in November. So I was pregnant with him when when in New York, the New York buildings fell, and one of in fact, his godfather was in one of the New York tower buildings, and his middle name, he's named after him. He's someone who was, had said he would step in, be a godfather, and ended up perishing in 9/11. So 9/11 was very near and dear to me as well, and it was near and dear to him. And he sort of knows that that was a traumatic experience in his life before he was even born. And so to have that same generation, that same class be affected by this pandemic as they were coming out of high school. And then again, I have a younger child. She's a daughter as well. So two girls and a boy, and she's 17, and she's in high school. So I'm able to sort of have these conversations where I've been that parent of little kids, and I've helped, counsel parents and get through those toddler stages and those young adult stages, but I also am proudly a parent of some young adults. And so, I think that because of that, I have a unique perspective and I'm able to sort of tap into many generations of what our kids and what our youth are going through. So I just wanted to talk a little bit just about me so that you know where I'm coming from. My goal for this show is to really talk about healing and to talk about how our bodies are affected. Sometimes it's the foods that we're eating or even not eating that might be affecting our disposition or causing us to have brain fog you know, we're not able to concentrate, or just mood changes. We're going to talk about those things. How exercise, how moving can actually heal us, and can help decrease the stress hormones like cortisol. How that fight or flight, constant fight or flight in these toxic work environments and sometimes toxic home environments, how they're just not good for us and what we can do to help mitigate those things, right? And then stress. We know stress is there. Honestly, I believe we know stress is killing us, but I don't think we figured out how to really deal with the stress, manage the stress. I know some of us have figured out maybe how to harness it, how to use it to help us get through. Again, that's what fight or flight is for. But after a certain point, that stress becomes way too much, right? It becomes a burden on our systems and it starts to take a toll. And so these are the conversations that I'm here for. These are the conversations that I want us to have. I want us to talk about what's happening at your job, what's happening in your homes, what's happening in certain environments. I want us to talk about how you're having a hard time with certain foods. There's certain foods and food cravings that we have to work through and figure out how they are really detrimental to us. But what can we do to replace them, and how can we give some practical tips, right? And I want to talk about just movement. Movement is very healing. It's very restorative. Rest is very healing. It's very restorative. So there is a balance between movement and rest. So what is that, and how can you achieve it? Many of you know that I am a meditator. I practice transcendental meditation. I've been practicing for 5 years, and it is one of the best things that has ever happened to me in my entire life. I'm on the board of the David Lynch Foundation, and so I meditate twice a day, doing 20 minutes, and it is the best 20 minutes, best 40 minutes of my day, hands down. So I want to talk to you all as we go along about what meditation is, what other types of practices there are that are restorative, that are healing, that are evidence based. Again, I'm still a physician, I'm still a scientist, so there are evidence based um, practices and activities that we know of. Studies have been done. This, for instance, is Heart Health Awareness Month, right? And one of the things to know about me is I have a nonprofit organization that I started right in the pandemic called Dr. Yolanda Cares Foundation. And during this time, I began to see that we needed to have some real practical conversations about heart disease in the community, in our communities. So February is a special month. February has a bunch of significance, right? Which is one of the reasons I wanted to start my show in February. So February, and those of you, some know me as the self-care guru. I am. I'm all about self-care. I find that my life mission, my goal, I say all the time that self-care is my superpower, and that I'm here to empower others, because I believe that you have to fill yourself up. You have to learn how to care for yourself, love up on yourself, give to yourself so much so that you're giving to others from your overflow. You can't give from an empty cup. So February is this month of love, right? Loving others is always a beautiful thing. But if you can't love yourself first, it's going to be real difficult to love someone else. So February has this unique position of being the month about love. It's also the month about Black history. We know this, right? 28 days, people are putting up posts and making acknowledgments of a lot of the contributions that we've made to this country. And I'd like to connect February as Black History Month with February as Heart Health Awareness Month, because I'm saying this to everyone out here. Black Americans are only 14% of the population. but we make up roughly 25, we are actually exactly 23.5% of the deaths due to heart disease. Well, white America is 75% of the population, and they make up 23.7% of heart disease deaths. That's unacceptable. We're only 14% of the population, but we have a significant, our difference, or the amount of heart disease is no significant difference from the amount of heart disease from 75% of the population. So I'm saying this to say to you, that's a Black History Month fact, that 14% of the population is 25% of the deaths due to heart disease. Another Black history fact is that 49% of African American women have heart disease at age 20. That's unacceptable. So we need to have these conversations, because if we do not, if we only want to talk about the history of us in this country, but we don't talk about the future of ourselves in terms of how we're dealing with what we're eating, how we're exercising, and how we manage stress, it's affecting our hearts, and we're all going to be history if we don't really apply this information, apply practical ways to mitigate heart disease. It's still the number one killer of Americans in this country. Even in the backdrop of COVID, there was an 11% increase in heart disease. So I'm very passionate about it. So you're going to hear about that. You're going to hear about self-care. You're going to hear about nutrition and exercise and meditation. You're going to hear about a whole lot of good stuff. But I also want you to know that this is a partnership with you. So I want you to tell me also what you want to hear about. Okay. So I just wanted to tell you a little bit about me. So our next segment, again, is talking about what's just going on today and why I decided to come in and get started in this particular time doing this particular show. Mind, body, and stress with Dr. Yolanda. We have, again, been traumatized. I started talking about it in the beginning, things that we all experienced in our lives, the fact that I had experienced things in undergrad, throughout my adult life. And in these last couple of weeks, we are really watching this public um, exposition. We're watching as we are mourning, actress Regina King is mourning her son, Ian Alexander Jr., who was lost to suicide. I try not to use the word committed or it was their fault, because it really isn't. It's something that was obviously going on that was overwhelming. And I'm so glad we're getting away from the term that someone committed suicide, right? That someone that they actually lost their life to suicide is how we want to talk about it. We also know that recently the former Miss USA, who's also a lawyer and just doing phenomenal things in the community, she also lost her life. And at this point, they believe that she lost her life to suicide as well, off the top of or out of a 19th story building in New York. These are two young people, okay, who had everything seemingly going for them, who had access to so much in the world, an Oscar award winning, mother who had a network of many amazing supportive people, I'm sure. This young woman who had access to many amazing supportive people. But that's not necessarily what can help us sometimes, right? There's some things that we have to start paying attention to, and mental health awareness, mental health itself, and having culturally competent mental health providers is extremely important in our community. It's something we don't talk a lot about. I think it's something that we obviously have to normalize, and we have to get to a point where we're able to have these conversations. So I want us to talk about it, right? How are you all feeling? What is it that these particular deaths and more? I'm not saying that they're the only two that were lost to suicide, but they were so public And so odd in that you looked at their lives and thought, wow, they had everything. What was it that, maybe took them to this point? I want us to understand that we'll never know. We can't feel guilt, but we can start paying attention. We can start recognizing that we need to stay connected to one another. I love technology and the digital age. I'm not the techie, but I love that it has made so many advances in our lives. But at the same time, it has also opened a door for us to not be connected to one another as much, to not see each other, to not recognize when someone is, sort of introverted into themselves or something's going on or something's changed. So I want us to just start paying attention to that. Wherever you are right now, whoever you're connected to, start paying attention just to how they are. What's going on with them? What conversations are you having? Are you not having a conversation? Do you need to maybe initiate conversations in a different setting or with someone else that they might feel interested in? It's not going to be as easy as here's the solution. I just want us to begin having conversations about what things that we can do differently and how we can help ourselves in these times. Because again, it's very trying, very trying. I also like to say thank you all for those of you who have connected, who have gotten on. I have an Eventbrite up, and we are doing again this heart health awareness event, and it is on February 19th. It's February 19th, which is a Saturday, and we're doing it between 1 and 4 p.m. And you guys have already outdone yourselves. Y'all have gone on, y'all have got tickets on the Eventbrite. I think we can put the link up on here, but it's a bit.ly Eventbrite link. And you can go on and get your free ticket so that you can be a part of that. And the reason I'm so excited about it is because we are honoring none other than, as we transition from that conversation to what I'm about to say, you're like, why did you jump to that? Because we're honoring none other than the actress Taraji P. Henson, y'all. Yes. So Taraji, one of the things about Taraji is that she actually has a organization, foundation rather. The Boris Lawrence Henson, I gotta say this right, because this is her father. I don't want to mess up his name. The Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation. And this is named after her father, who suffered PTSD. He came back as a veteran from Vietnam. All of these pieces, right, they resonate with me because I'm actually the daughter of a veteran who also served in Vietnam, came back, same situation, had PTSD, depression, anxiety, a lot of things that were going on. And his life was never the same, which meant our lives were never the same. And so Taraji started this foundation. She named it after her father. And one of the things she tackles is mental health in the Black community. She has testified before the Congressional Black Congress and just put it out there that she and her foundation are putting their name, their influence, and their money behind this initiative to normalize these conversations about mental health in the Black community, as well as, again, normalizing the understanding and emphasizing the understanding, advocating for culturally competent mental health providers. So this is right up our alley. I was so excited. And we, as a committee, each year we honor someone who is a heart health champion, right? So this year was Taraji. Our first year in existence, we did Dr. You all know her and love her if you are a part of Black Doctor Org community. Dr. Jahan El Bayoumi. She goes lovingly by Dr. Gigi. I think you guys have house calls with Dr. Gigi. That was the first recipient of our heart health Champion Award. That was in 2019. After that, we did my First Lady at my church, Spirit Faith Christian Center, Dr. Dolores Freeman, for her tireless work in tying spirituality with mental health as well. We have a mental health month conference each year, and we really talk about it. You know, there are a lot of churches who really want to pray mental health away. And I'm all about prayer and I'm all about scripture. And I actually have a ministerial license from the Spirit of Faith Bible Institute. So I'm definitely about the word. But I appreciate um, organizations, institutions, churches who also recognize that mental health and spirituality are not exclusive, that they can be dealt with together. But you need to actually go to the experts in both. And then this last year, we celebrated and honored the mayor of DC, Mayor Muriel Bowser, for her stance on Black Lives Matter. Y'all, you know the thing we built, right? That mural in front of the White House that said Black Lives Matter. And it really told our young people, our old, everyone, that we matter, our lives matter. And that until and unless we're all a part of this fabric in America, we're going to continue to have problems. And so we were very excited about honoring those women. And this year, in a couple of weeks, on the 19th, we're just excited that our next honoree is so powerful, and her voice has been used to talk about teen suicide. This is actually one of her platforms. She talks about teen suicide. She talks about um, the ways that we feel about our bodies, dysmorphism. Some of the shaming and the bullying that goes on, and how people take their lives as a result of it. And other forms of mental health, PTSD, anxiety, depression, the whole gamut. So we are honored to celebrate her, and to celebrate as well some frontline heroes in health and education that will also be honoring, who have been serving in their communities as advocates during this pandemic. All right, so that I wanted y'all to know. So when I talked about this show, and if you guys saw the ad, there's a piece on there that says, Dr. Yolanda, if when it comes to health, she's playing for keeps. So I'm going to tell y'all a little bit about what that meant, right? So I started doing this. This is something I've done over a year ago. So I do these self-care revitalization retreats. And these self-care revitalization retreats is a lot of words to say. They're really about restoration, about reconnecting. And one of the things that we do is we do a self-care action plan, right? So we look at what are the ways that you're experiencing trauma and stress in your life. If it's professional burnout, which is most of us, or if it's family dynamics, whatever. We sort of talk about it, we tease it out, and then I give these gifts away, and I give lots of fun gifts away, and I'll be talking to you guys about that because I want to get y'all connected and get y'all working in this little space with me. But we give these gifts away, whether they're bath bombs, anything that's helpful to take care of you. Bath bombs. We give away, scented candles. We give away, you name it, tea. And as I say that, I'm gonna sip my tea with my boots. So we give away tea. We give away journals. There's all these things that we give away in these revitalization packs that we put together, and I call them a self-care toolkit, right? So as I was preparing all of these things that we like to put in these kits, I started thinking about, well, how do I sort of help people along, guide them in ways to practice self-care? And I started doing a little research. And I didn't know any of this till I looked this up. So, do you all know that the playing cards that a lot of us play spades, whatever, solitaire, whatever, right? That playing cards have 52 of them, and they represent the 52 weeks of the year. Did you all know this? So apparently, cards are really tied to astrology, and it's similar to tarot cards, but these cards are they're tied to astrology, so they have significance. So the 52 cards, and you want 52 card pickup, you drop them on, you have to pick them up. There's 52 cards. They represent the 52 weeks in a year. So this may be the first that you're finding this out, and if you are, you're welcome, because I actually had to find this out for myself. I was 49 when I found this out. If you already knew this, then you're brilliant. I didn't know. So not only do the 52 cards represent the 52 weeks, but the 4 weeks, the four suits, spades, diamonds, clubs, hearts, they represent the 4 seasons of the year, right? The other thing is, if you break it down into the 52, then you'll have 12 to 13 cards in a suit. That's your month. So anyway, all of these things are tied together, and I thought, this is crazy. This is amazing. So then I started researching out a little bit more. And one of the things that I decided to do is how I wanted to help people is give you tips every single week on things that you can do, a self-care tip, a self-care activity, a self-care action, if you will, or suggestion for how to sort of fill yourself up throughout the year. Okay, so we're going to do this together. So each month that I talk to you, I'm going to talk to you the first Friday of every month. So I'm going to get you started. We're going to do 4 cards to represent those 4 weeks, and you can practice any way you want. You can do whichever ways you want, but this is how I broke it out. So for me, and from my research, spades represents the winter season. Okay, it's considered an epitome of old age and maturity and experience. And so one of the and the Ace of Spades is one of the most ancient symbols for death, for transformation, as well as deep spiritual truth. But the part that I had started to decide was, I decided I was going to use it for is in nature, when something has to die, it has to go through a transformation into something new. And so for me, I was thinking about like a caterpillar, right, has to change and metamorphosize to become a butterfly. This doesn't happen without some sort of a challenge, right? Some sort of a physical challenge that caterpillar goes through. And so for me, I decided my spades, all of my self-care tips, when I give you a spade, is going to be a physical or a fitness challenge, okay? So every time you see a spade, it's going to be an opportunity to challenge yourself. The heart, probably pretty obvious, right? The heart signifies love, but when you talk about the seasons, it's spring, it's childhood, it's associated with warmth, light, power, and it's the universal symbol we know of affection, right? So in meta symbology, the meaning of the Ace of Hearts is an intense desire to be loved. So again, I love it because when we talk about the Ace of Hearts, it's one heart. I like to think about the fact that that's one of the most important cards in is the Ace. Well, that Ace of Hearts is loving that one self. And so self-care, self-love, that is one of the most important, I believe, cards in the deck. So my hearts are going to always be something that you can do for yourself to show yourself self-love, a pampering that you can do for yourself during that particular week. All right. So the next card is a club. This was really interesting when I was researching this. So the club represents summer, which is youth, and we emphasize action, passion, and a quest for knowledge through information, right? So the Ace of Clubs symbolizes a spark of inspiration, passion, and a motivation for learning. How many of you know that self care also involves self development? Reading books, you know, advancing yourself, taking a course, getting a certification. There's all kinds of things that you can do that are mental and or intellectual that are also about your self care. So anytime you see a club, it's going to represent an opportunity for you to expand your mind or promote mental health and wellness. Okay. The last card is your diamond. So diamond represents a season of fall or autumn. So we had winter, we did spring, we just did summer. This is autumn. The diamond represents autumn, and it's a significant for growing, right? It's the phase of the human life where a person strives for purpose, responsibility, values, security, all of those things. But from an alchemist perspective, the diamond signifies refracting light. And it translates into the soul taking this journey to achieve this higher understanding, clarity, spiritual, right? Enlightenment. So anytime you see a diamond, anytime we pull a diamond, it's going to be giving you an opportunity to connect with your community or connect to others by developing yourself through your spiritual being. Okay? So we got that. So you're going to see a spade, that's going to be physical challenge. You're going to see a heart, that's going to be self-love, pampering. You're going to see a club, that's going to be mental or intellectual, some way to stimulate your brain. And when you see a diamond, it's going to be spiritual growth. All right. So this is my plan for keeps. What I mean by that is we're going to use these cards to figure out to find ways to fill ourselves up so that we increase our longevity. We'll be here longer. You know, studies show that people who are caring for themselves, who give and donate and are connected to their community, who walk or challenge themselves physically every day, who pamper themselves, who eat right, all of these things that we do, that they actually live longer lives. All right, so I'm going to wrap up. We've been here a long time. Y'all been listening to me. I don't know if anybody has actually. I saw a couple people check in. I saw someone say Cali. I saw someone say that people were telling me where they were from. But I don't know if did anybody put any actual questions or anything in? Give me any, like, hey, I'm here. Oh, y'all can see in the back there, I got some books that I wrote recently, are all sitting in the back. But I need you all to interact with me because this is not just me talking and telling you some of the stuff that I have for you. I want to make sure that I'm feeding you, right? And I say feeding you, I mean feeding you information, feeding you practical tips, feeding you and really connecting with you. So make sure that you're typing in and you're giving me information or you're checking in or you're saying, you know, how this is going for you. But these 4 tips I'm about to leave you with is for this following month. So when we start next month, the first Friday of March, I want to know if you guys actually practice any of these self tips. You got to make sure you tell me. The reason it's great is because it's not every day. It's one day that week that you get to do one of these things, right? You can do it every day that week, or you can do it at least once that week. So you have 4 weeks, 4 different things that you're going to do, okay? And you can do them in any order you want. So let's get started. So the first card we pulled from my deck, and I really do, y'all. I have like a whole deck here of these cards. Like this is the back of it. These are the deck. I actually have a whole deck of these cards. So a 2 of hearts. Okay. So this week, I want you to light a scented candle. Put some essential oils, or put some essential oils in a diffuser each day of this front 1 week. You can do this week particularly, or one of the other weeks. But I say start with this week for this one coming. You want to understand that what we're smelling, that aroma, it actually affects our mood. So there are some health benefits of aromatherapy, which include a reduction of anxiety, decreased depression, a boost in energy, increased wound healing properties, decreased headaches, increased cognition and performance, better sleep quality, improved immune systems, reduction in pain, improved digestion, increase circulation. How can it have all of these things? Well, different scents have different properties, right? So some of you may know that eucalyptus and mint, that has to do with with being able to breathe better, or even helping you with your digestion. Citrus has a way of revitalizing you, right? There's all of these, lilac and lavender. There's all of these things that you can use. So all of the essential oils, they actually have different properties. You want to look them up, find out which ones you like. Which ones, now some people will smell something, they're like, okay, that doesn't agree with me. So I'm not saying all essential oils are perfect for everyone. Find something that you like, that is pleasant to you, and understand that smelling sweet aromas and aromatherapy actually have medicinal value. So I want you to do that one day. Another thing, the next card we pull is the Six of Clubs. I love it. The Six of Clubs. So this particular week, I want you to remember, what did we say about clubs? It's mental or intellectual growth, right? So I want you to place several fresh plants in your home or your office that week. Now, how does that help you with mental health and clarity, or intellectual clarity? Well, many of us are aware that plants they use a process called photosynthesis, and this removes carbon dioxide, which is the waste, that the gas that we're breathing out. It actually uses. It's funny. I wish I could turn my camera around because I have a bunch of plants right here in front of me. But they use that antioxidant. I mean, they use that carbon dioxide that you're breathing out, and they actually replace it with more oxygen. So it's oxygenating your space. So if you're in a stuffy office or stuffy space, you need to actually help yourself out. Bring some fresh plants in. This will actually help you revital. Thank you, Tracy. I loved it. Thank you for interacting with me. I see you, Tracy Hunter. I want you guys to know that these plants and this oxygenation is going to help you remove that toxic environment that you're breathing. It replaces it, and this is essential for us. It appears as though plants do a lot more, however, than just exchange the carbon dioxide for oxygen. Studies have shown that having over 30% of green space in your surroundings is recommended for a healthy cortisol stress level. It lowers your cortisol. So I'm telling you, I don't do anything by accident. I want you to understand, I'm going to give you real tips. It's not just because of the oxygen and the carbon dioxide. It lowers cortisol. Do you understand what cortisol does? Cortisol is what's creating that abdominal, visceral fat that you get when you're getting older and your hormones are changing, you're stressing out, you're not eating. This is actually going to help lower some of that cortisol. It's not huge and significant, but it's enough that it's going to add to a healthy environment versus an unhealthy environment. Likewise, indoor plants have been shown to reduce cold-related illnesses by more than 30%. Most likely due to their effect on increasing the humidity levels and decreasing dust, okay, which settles in our respiratory areas and can cause irritation and add to our cough or our inability to clear our respiratory airways. All right, the next card we pull is the Four of Diamonds. So what do we say? Diamonds are spiritual growth, is having us challenge our spiritual man. So one of these weeks, I want you to journal. Journal about your thoughts, your aspirations, your fears, positive intentions each day in one of these weeks, okay? Now, this would be great for you to do every day throughout the year, but at least for a week, I want you to do it. For 7 days in one of these weeks, I want you to journal, like faithfully, regularly journal. Why? Journal writing, it can be a vehicle for deepening mindfulness, as it helps us clarify and refine our thoughts and our emotions. It brings you into the present, right? That's what mindfulness states are. What are the things I'm thinking about right now? What am I reflecting on? What would I like to do? How am I doing right now? What did today bring, right? What am I grateful for? One of the things I like to talk to people about is write down 3 things you're grateful for that happened today. It makes you think about how your day wasn't all bad. You should be able to come up with 3 good things that happened today. Um, Also, like meditation, journal writing helps clear your mind by transcribing emotional clutter into and onto a written page. You become a witness for your feelings, thoughts, and behaviors, which then paves the way for fresh thought and perspective. It helps your creativity. There are times when I've been thinking about something and it's way suppressed in my mind because I just don't have time for it at the time that I need it. But when I'm journaling, it'll come up and I'll write it down. And then I can actually flow with it. I've written several books, guys, and some of those books started from just thoughts that I had while I was journaling. So I'm telling you now, journal. It's really good for you, but it also helps you decompress in your day, all right? And we have a lot to decompress from. And the final card we're pulling, which is obviously a spade, I want you to eat a light, healthy breakfast each day this week. I'm telling y'all, some of y'all don't eat breakfast. Some of y'all are absolutely doing the most. Y'all not eat breakfast and it's not good for you. Now, I understand if you're intermittent fasting, breakfast is just when you break your fast. So I'm not telling you you have to eat it at 6 o'clock in the morning. It's not what I'm saying. I want you to make sure you're breaking your fast, though. All right. So I'm not here to say don't intermittent fast, don't do this, don't do that. I'm saying when you do, make it a light, healthy breakfast because a lot of times we get started with something heavy, something laden with sugar or laden with fat, and it really starts out our day in a way that we're now craving to get back to that sugar high. So if all you're doing is bagels and coffee and fruits, certain fruits, in the morning you're jump starting your day with sugar. And when you start coming down and you're crashing, all your body wants is to get back up to that high that you started with. But if you eat something that's light, that's healthy, that's full of protein, you don't throw your blood sugar level up so high, and so your day isn't your body isn't spending its day trying to get back to that sugar high. Studies show that staying right is close associated with starting right. So if you start your day right, you actually have a more successful day. When you start your day crummy, you're literally trying to play catch up. So if you start right, you're better off having a healthy day in terms of that lunch that you decide to do, whatever dinner, because you started off with a healthy breakfast. So having a proper breakfast high in lean protein, complex carbohydrates, not processed sugars, not trans fats, greatly decreases hunger cravings throughout the day and can keep you from overeating on that next cycle. So again, when you're overeating, it's because your blood sugar dropped and you just think you're hungry. And sometimes you're not hungry, it's just your blood sugar dropping. So you're eating because you just need the energy, not necessarily because you actually need to eat, not for food. So I hope that you guys enjoyed my 4 tips. I spent a lot of time putting this deck of cards together. And eventually, I'm actually going to have it available. You guys can connect with blackdoctor.org or on my website, but I'm going to have it available so that you just like, look, Dr. Yolanda, I don't want to wait till the first day of the month each time to get my tips. I want it, or I like to share it as a gift with somebody. Then I can share this with you all. I have it. It's actually it comes with the spiral binder, and we want you guys to make sure you get your plan for keep cards. Okay, so I just want to say today was amazing to me, for me, because this has been something I've wanted to do for a long time. Not so much just talk in a room by myself, but to share with you all about how you're feeling, how you're doing, talk about practical tips. One of the books I wrote is Dr. Yolanda's Soul Food Therapy. Soul stands for savory, organic, unprocessed living foods, and it's soul food. It's how soul food saves lives, right? So savory, organic, unprocessed living food saves lives. I get into it. I give recipes and I talk about how do we stop our food cravings, burn fat, and lose weight using food. because we can. I want you to exercise because exercise is good for the heart, clears out your arteries. It can help you obviously live a long life and just be very active and strong. But I also want you to know that food, you can't out exercise a bad diet. So food plays a big role in it. And we don't know how to manage food. We know what to put in our cars. We know how to manage these devices around us. They all come with manuals. And unfortunately, we don't. And because we don't, we are entrusting feeding ourselves with restaurants and takeout. Anybody can deliver something to our home and we just consume it. And we have no idea what it is and what it's doing to our bodies. So I want you all to begin learning the basics and understanding. And my colleagues on this platform, there's many of us talking about this. So by no means is it only my voice that is important. I want you to take all of the information that you're getting, all of the information from all of us, because I know there's a lot of shows that I'll start mentioning more and more of my colleagues, but I want you to understand that we're all here with the same purpose, and that is to get information to you, to partner with you, so that your health is optimal. It's the best it could possibly be. Whatever's in your way, we want to help you get out of your way. Whoever you need to get on board with you, we want to help convince them to get on board with you. We want your children to get in line with you and do this thing with you, your spouses, your roommates, your parents, whoever it is. We want everybody in your household healthy, whole, blessed, and any way that we can do that, any way that we can motivate you, any way that we can educate you, then we're doing it. We're trying it. So you just let us know how to help you. In particular, you let me know how I can help you, because I'm very humbled and I'm very honored to have this space here and to really be a vessel, if I can be, to help any of you do any of the things that it is that we can do together. All right. So I believe my time is up, and I just appreciate you guys, and I want you to know we are all playing for keeps. It's not just me. So get that scented candle. I want you to get that journal out. I want you to make sure you make that light breakfast. And what was my love? I can't remember now. I want you to, I'm getting old, but I gave you 4 tips that I want you to, what I can't remember. It was journaling. It was, it was, I can't remember. But anyway, our next show is going to be Friday, March 4th at 1 o'clock. And we're going to be talking about the connection between mind, body, and stress. And we will be playing for keeps. So you'll get 4 new challenges for yourself. And I want to hear from everybody who does these challenges. I want to know what you did. I want to know if it worked for you. If you were able to, put the plants in your office. That's what I said. So put some plants in your space. Increase your green space. But I want you to tell me what you did, if it worked, and if it was a big challenge for you, or if it was easy to do, and all of that stuff. All right. So you guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your Friday. Have a blessed weekend. Happy Heart Health Awareness Month. Happy Black History Month. Take care of yourself. Love up on you. On Valentine's Day, I want you to give your first Valentine to yourself. I want you to give that first hug, that first acknowledgement to you, because you are so deserving of it. And nobody deserves it more than you. And you can only love those around you as much as you love yourself. So I'm blessed to be here with you, and I want you all to continue to be blessed in your day. All right.